1 minute until showtime.
Hey, that was a 94. That wasn't bad. I think we got to let it go. I think you overdid yourself here. I like it.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show. Live from racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show. And your host, Buzz McKim.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate that. We got Tony Hines today. Rich Combs is off doing whatever Rich is doing. But I'm sure he's thinking about us, you know. And we thank everybody out there for tuning in to seeing what we're up to. And we're doing something a little different today. It's going to be just Tony and I. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of neat stuff.
We'll make an effort.
Darn right. Yeah, it'll work out great. You'll get your money's worth no matter what.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're starting off with kind of a sad note. Jack Cook Sr. passed away this week, this past Monday. Jack had been a guest on our show a few times, and excellent motorcycle racer. He raced on the beach. He was teammate to the legendary Paul Goldsmith. Then he ran stock cars all through the Southeast for years, and just a really strong competitor and a heck of a good guy, too. And I believe he might have been in his 90s. He lived a really good long life. So there'll be a memorial service for him at Woodward Funeral Home next Thursday from 5 to 7. So we're going to try to make it for that, and we'll see how that works out. Yeah.
We do have one big announcement. The North Turn Beach Race Parade has been rescheduled to February 7th.
Yes.
Where it's traditionally been the weekend before the 500. So we're all hyped for that. I think that'll get more cars in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was originally scheduled for January, and that just wasn't going to work out at all. But we got it rescheduled for the 7th. So that'll be a great thing. Great thing. So what did you think of that race last week?
My guy Blaney won.
Your guy Blaney?
I'm good.
He's your guy, huh?
Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers got spun. I was afraid it was going to be a fourth race in a row.
Yeah.
But he came back to finish second.
Amazing. Yeah, he was cranking.
And the entertainment was provided by Denny and Ty Gibbs.
So-called teammates.
Yeah.
Now, is it Denny's fault for being too rambunctious, or is it Ty's fault for being too much of a pain in the butt and not letting them by?
Yeah.
But teammates, you know, that's I'm sure old Coach Gibbs had a few things to talk to him about.
Well, and there were three of them in a clump.
Mm-hmm.
Ty, Bell, and Hamlet.
Right. Yep.
Whether Bell was lucky or he is that skillful that he knocked Gibbs out of the way, and Bell and him got away clean.
Yeah.
That could have been a disaster.
It could have been. Very much so. Yeah, that's a real good race.
Yeah.
Real good race. And this week at Kansas should be interesting. And, in fact, Ryan Ellis, who's an Xfinity driver, his father is sitting right back over here having lunch. I don't think he can hear us, but anyway, he lives in New Smyrna, and we'd like to get Ryan on the show one of these days. It'd be great. This will be his third year that he's in Xfinity. And he's making a name for himself little by little. You know, he's getting better at getting sponsorships and all that sort of thing. And you got to have that money if you're going to go racing, for sure.
Kansas should be good. It's one of the tracks with progressive banking.
That's right.
It was really a big deal when that came out. I don't think Kansas was first to do it.
Yeah.
But that was supposed to be the answer, and now you don't hear much about it anymore. But Kansas is. That'll be good.
Yep, that's for sure. So how's your week been?
It's been okay. My guy won.
Yeah, you can't get any better than that.
I get a survey from NASCAR every week.
Do you really?
And usually I'm full of complaining about the national anthem.
Oh, you're one of those guys, huh?
You know, why they didn't throw a flag, where the firefighters were with the fire the week before when he pulled into the pits.
Yep.
So I always have some constructive feedback.
Oh, yeah.
This week I was just all happy.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah, back when I was with the NASCAR PR department, I was one of the guys that had to read all those comments, constructive criticism. A bunch of curmudgeons up there. Yeah, man, oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion, that's for sure. And everybody thinks they can do it better.
I got a new bumper sticker.
Oh, yeah?
Window sticker. Grumpy old vet. I do what I want.
And you earned it, too. Good for you. Speaking of grumpy, old Owen Hopes, our living legend, he's not here today. He's having a few little medical problems, but he'll be back next week. So we're going to be missing him. Normally we have him yelling when it comes time to work the decibel meter. But he'll be back next week. He'll be fine, for sure. Yeah, so what we're going to do today is talk about beach racing from 1903 to 1958. And was there an era of beach racing that kind of fascinated you more than anything else?
Well, I'm fascinated by the time trials more than the racing.
Right.
Well, both, but that just and you know, you look at these cars. Some of them, it took me a while to figure out, were all taped up with masking tape.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's because race on Sunday, sell on Monday.
That's right.
In some cases, those cars weren't theirs.
Exactly. That's true. Yeah, the car that Marshall Teague won with in 1951 had tape all over the whole front of the car because it went back to the Jacksonville dealer, and they probably put it on the showroom the next day. Amazing. But yeah, the time trials, it was a 4-mile course, so you couldn't run the time trials in a lap the way we do traditionally. We ran the measured mile in a instead of the traditional lap. So this right here, right about where we are now, was the north end of the measured mile, and then they go south for a mile. And it didn't matter if you had a race car or if it was your grocery getter. It doesn't matter. If you wanted to go ahead and sign up, you could go ahead and run to the measured mile. And I know Owen ran several times with that little 40 Ford of his. And, yeah, I mean, grocery getters didn't make any difference. Station wagons, you know, dogs in the back. So if you ran over 100 miles an hour, you got a certificate signed by Bill France for the Century Club, meaning that you traveled over 100 miles an hour, and it was a speedometer. And then they would take a red pen, and they'd mark the speedometer with a red pen on the speed that you turned. And there's still several of those around town. A lot of the old-timers still have those.
That just sounds... I would have to say I'd try it.
Yeah, you try it? Yeah.
I don't know anymore, but I mean...
But back in the day...
Oh,
yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, darn right. That was amazing. And they would have a line just as far as you could see of people lined up ready to go. And they'd run through the measured mile. That's something. But yeah, they started racing in 03. And why Daytona? Well, because of the beach. It was a God-given gift. And according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the beach is made up of quartz, which came down from the Piedmont over the eons of time and settled in this area of the coast here. And, of course, it's as hard as this tabletop here. And back in 1903, there was only 150 miles of paved road in the entire nation. And most of that was in metropolitan areas. So these people, the rich folks up north, they had these newfangled automobiles, and they had nowhere to run them. So they bring them down to Florida on the train for the winter season. And then they said that the first race happened when the second car was built. And that sounds about right. Wouldn't you say? Yeah. So, yeah, mine could beat yours. So they started running up and down the beach. And in 1903, Alexander Winton, who was the most famous race driver in the country at the time, he had his Bullet, and he ran against H.T. Thomas in Ransom Olds' Pirate, and they ran down the beach for the mile at 53 miles an hour, and what's-his-face, Winton beat Thomas by 1/5 of a mile, 1/5 of a mile an hour. 1/5. They timed it in fifths back then. In fact, I'll tell you how strong Winton was. He had a match race with Henry Ford in 1903 later on that year, and he had some problems with his car, and Henry Ford won the race. And that's where he got the financing to start Ford Motor Company, because he beat Alexander Winton, the great Winton. How about that?
I did run across something. We kind of nor'easters now. We're worried and we complain about them. That was another reason the races were done in February. The nor'easters over the winter would help pack the sand in and get the loose sand off. That was another reason they did it in February.
Yep.
Besides the king tides.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. And then in '04, Vanderbilt showed up with his Mercedes, and he told his doctor in Philadelphia that he was going to come to Florida and break 90 miles an hour with his Mercedes. And the doctor said, "You're going to be crazy." He said, "Why is that?" He said, "Don't you know that if you travel over 75 miles an hour, the air will rip the breath from your body and you'll die?" And he said, "Well, I'll be willing to take a chance on that." So these guys were the astronauts of their day, and they didn't know what they were going to find when they got there, but they were willing to go and give it a shot. And to show you how dramatic those runs were, in 1910, when Barney Oldfield ran 131 miles an hour in the Lightning Benz, the headlines read, "Only a bullet had traveled faster." Wow, that's pretty cool.
And those trials went on through 58, I think, or did they even go after?
Well, the land speed record runs were through 1935, and then in 36 they started racing on the beach, stock cars, and then they ran until 58. Actually, they ran the motorcycles until 1960, so 2 years after the cars were done. And they moved the cars to the speedway with its opening in 59, and but they kept the track in good shape for the motorcycles. How about that? Yeah. And then in 1905, you started having the steam cars and electric cars show up, and they had a Baker Torpedo, which looked like a teardrop. It was very, very aerodynamic and very cool looking, little bitty thing, powered by an electric engine. Yeah. And in 1906, the Stanley Brothers came with the Rocket, the steam car, and he ran about 100. No, I don't think he did 100. I'm not sure. But anyway, they came back the year later, and they had a bigger motor, and they ran close to 150 when he hit a rough patch of sand, and the car disintegrated, and he lived, popped an eye out of his head. And a doctor sitting on the veranda having breakfast ran down with a spoon and popped his eye back in, and Marriott said it was the best eye he had. So this car was incredible. It was the first car that really paid attention to aerodynamics. The Stanley brothers were geniuses, and they tested all kinds of different shapes to find out which was the slickest design, and they found that a canoe was definitely the design that gave the least resistance. So they went ahead and had a canoe company in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. I like that, Tewksbury. What a great name, huh? The Robertson Canoe Company. They went ahead and built this canoe, and it was wood, fur strips covered with canvas, and
it was sort of an upside down canoe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you go to the what's the name of that place up in Granada?
The brewery?
No, the Ormond Garage.
Yeah,
they have a replica of that car up there, and it's really an incredible car. It's very sleek looking. And in 1907, there was a guy, a Frenchman, who had a really bad attitude. His name was Hemery, and he was driving a Dirac, and he didn't like this steam car beating all the gas cars. So he, on the starting line, he pulled up next to him, and the Dirac had these big pipes that spit fire out, and he pulled up next to it trying to set the car on fire. He thought if you rev the car up hard enough that the fire would go ahead and catch the Stanley car on fire. So he was disqualified for being an unsportsmanlike competitor, and Lewis Chevrolet took over the ride. How about that in Dirac in 1906?
Well, a lot of the guys at that time had shifted to airplane engines.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were the biggest thing you could get.
Mm-hmm.
I did see last week the guys who were restoring the Slug.
Yeah.
That planned to bring it here in 27 got the engine running.
Oh, did they really?
They're only doing one.
Okay.
I don't know if they'll put both of them in the car, but they're only getting one of them running.
Yeah, so they got it running. Wow.
Sounded amazing.
Did it really? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, those aviation engines were really something to think about. And they were very inexpensive. You know, most of them were war surplus, and you could buy them for pennies on the dollar, and they had all the power you needed, and so it worked out real well. Yeah, so then in 1910, Barney Oldfield came with his Lightning Benz, and he ran faster than a bullet. And then Bob Berman was here in 1911 with basically the same car, and he ran a little bit closer to 115. And then we had Ralph De Palma in 1919. He was here with a Packard, ran 140 miles an hour. And then Jimmy Murphy showed up in 1920 with a Duesenberg with 2 engines. And really kind of a sad story. His protege was a guy named Jimmy Murphy, and he was a riding mechanic for Tommy Milton. And Murphy became a really good driver in his own right. So they brought the car to Daytona, and he was going to set a world speed record with it. And Milton had to go to Cuba to run an exhibition race. So while he was gone, Jimmy Murphy hopped in the car and took off down the beach and ran and broke a record, which kind of bent Milton's nose out of joint. And he got sand in the engine, and they had to rebuild the engine in a tent on the beach. Can you imagine that? You know, they're trying to keep the sand out of the engine. So Milton finally came back, and he ran the car, and he set a speed record. But in the meantime, the car caught fire, and he had to run it into the ocean to put the fire out. And he and Murphy never spoke again, and that was the end of the relationship. But then when Murphy was killed in Syracuse in 1922, Milton escorted the body back to California. I thought that was kind of an interesting end to that story there. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with us.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. Let Aloha Marine get you on the water with huge discounts on great brands like Bayliner, Carolina Skiff, Hurricane, Key West, and Regal. Pay as little as $169 a month with 10% down and approved credit. Don't wait. Get to Aloha Marine, 1700 North Nova Road, Holly Hill, Monday through Saturday. 47 years and always better than boat show prices. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Thank you. Much obliged, everybody. Thank you, Tony Hines, for that. And this segment's being brought to you locally by Staples on International Speedway Boulevard. Anything for the office, they'll hook you up. They can do it. They do it all. The printing and you name it, shipping, and then they got a great supply of stuff for you. And if you want to take a look at our show live, you could go to the Legends of Racing Radio Show YouTube page, and then an hour later we post it on Facebook. So it's the Legends of Racing Radio Show, YouTube and Facebook. So 1921, there was a guy named Sig Hogdahl. He was from Sweden, and he came here. He lived in Jacksonville. And he built the Wisconsin Special because it had a Wisconsin airplane engine in it. and it was really a narrow thing. He was a little guy, so it was a very narrow car. That car still exists in its original condition. It was here for the bicentennial or the centennial of the speed back in '03, and he got sideways with AAA, and he ran over 180 miles an hour. The first man to run 180 miles an hour, but he wasn't given any kind of credit because they refused to recognize him. So that was too bad. But it was later on that Hog Dog came up with the idea for racing stock cars on the beach, half on A1A and half on State Road on the beach. So he's the father of beach racing. And he ended up moving to Daytona, opening up a little repair shop up off of North Beach Street, and he and Bill France got to be good buddies. So it worked out pretty good. So then in 1927, the slug came to town. There was not much going on in the 1920s, the Depression and all that sort of thing. But in 27, Henry Seagrave came with the slug. It was a Sunbeam with engine, aviation engines in it, 2 engines. And he was the first car to travel 100 to 200 miles an hour. And that car is being restored in England now, and it'll be back here in 2027 for the centennial of that run. It'll be pretty good. Now, you've been watching that, haven't you?
Keeping track of it. Now, you've been involved in it, some meetings.
Yeah.
That somehow, I guess, I know we get to have a parade here. I'm not. I'd like to be confident they're going to let them put it on the beach and at least start it.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, I don't think the county is going to give us a hard time about that.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the car is in remarkable condition, and it had to be rebuilt mechanically, but cosmetically the thing is in perfect shape. So that was in 27. In 28, Sir Malcolm Campbell came with the Bluebirds. He was here from 28 through 1935 with his different Bluebirds. And Seagrave was here again in 29 with the Golden Arrow, and he was the first driver to wear a crash helmet. And a lot of guys thought he was a wuss, but he thought it would come in pretty handy if you got on your head. So it worked out pretty good. That Golden Arrow is in the Bewley Museum in England. It's spectacular, a very Art Deco looking thing, you know. Yeah.
You mentioned the first guy to wear a helmet. The Goodwood Festival, they had like a 2-hour highlights on TV last weekend, and they showed some of the early races, I guess the 30s and 40s. The guardrails were woven sticks.
Oh my gosh.
Painted white.
Is that right? It's crazy.
Some brave guys.
Yeah. And no seatbelts back then. Oh my gosh. They were nuts. Yeah, Sterling Moss didn't believe in seatbelts or anything like that. He said if you make it safe, then anybody can do it. You know, and he wanted to impress the ladies by the fact that it was a very dangerous thing to do.
Well, you kind of hear that now, that some people think the new NASCARs are too safe. I don't.
Well, you can never get them too safe.
Yeah, no.
You know, still, you never can say it'll never happen again. But you know, the chances are pretty slim, though. They've done a really good job. Yeah. So in 35, Malcolm Campbell came with the Bluebird 5, which is over at the museum at the Speedway. Now, this was over 30 feet long, and it was $1 million car in 1935. Campbell was the heir to South African diamond mines and the Lloyd's of London insurance, so he didn't have to worry about where the money was coming from. But this thing had a Rolls-Royce engine in it, an aviation engine, and he would bring aviation engineers with him instead of auto mechanics because it was really more of a plane than it was a car. So if you get a chance, go over and check it out. It's really a magnificent, magnificent car, and things are looking tip-top. When I was a kid, I made a deal with Mr. Tuthill, who owned the Museum of Speed, where the Bluebird sat down in South Daytona, and I said, if you let me sit in the car, I'll wax it for you. And he said, yeah, sure, kid. And he knew a fish when he saw one. This thing is huge, and it took me 2 days and a whole can of Simon Eyes, but I got to sit in it. I worked my ass off, but it was worth it, though. Not too many people can say they sat in the Bluebird. Yeah. That was really cool.
That is out at the Motorsports Hall of Fame at the Speedway, and we ought to at least plug them for George. That's it's an amazing place. I was out there about a month ago, and you can go at least twice a year.
Yeah.
And see different stuff every time.
Oh, yeah, they're moving stuff in and out all the time, and you'll never go and see the same thing twice. It's magnificent. It's really one of the top museums in the country, and it doesn't get enough press. You know, we like to drop a line every chance we get with them, but they've got some pretty interesting things there for sure. Yeah, so Campbell ran 276 miles an hour. It was an average of two speeds, two ways to go. They would give the north run and then the south run within an hour to make up for any advantage or disadvantage to the wind. So on the one run, he ran about 157. On another run, he ran over 300 miles an hour, and it averaged out to 276. So the city said that's a little bit too fast. You know, they're running 300 miles an hour in people's backyards. So they said, I think we ought to go ahead and maybe stop this kind of, competition because, any time they ran a speed record on the beach, it made worldwide news. And the city liked having that publicity, so they're figuring out, what are we going to do next? So that's where Sig Hogdahl had the idea for doing stock cars. And he scraped out a 3-mile course up in Daytona Beach Shores, up around where the City Hall is. That was the north turn, and the south turn was DeMott Avenue, one block south of Dunlawton. And it was a 3.1-mile course, half on A1A, half on the beach. And Bill France came in 5th, and he was mechanic on the winning car. So Bill France said, this is pretty cool. I get to race in my hometown, because he had moved down here from Washington, D.C., and he was involved in the open wheel competition up there, the sprint cars and all that. And he had gone to the Laurel Maryland board track when he was a kid, so he loved the speed and the high banks. And that's where he got the idea for Daytona from what he saw as a kid. It made such an impression on him. So he came in 5th in that first race, and then the city lost $22,000 on that deal. And this is in the middle of the Depression, so they said this is the end of that sort of thing. So they decided not to go for the 1937 race. So the Elks Club put on the 37 race, and they lost their butt too. The winner made like $14 or something like that. So there was a good chance that they weren't going to be racing anymore in Daytona because it was a white elephant. Nobody wanted to take a chance on it. So there was a guy named Ralph Hankinson who was the guru of all race promoters, and he had a place over in Orange City. It's still there. It's an old hotel, and he wintered there. So Bill France thought, well, I'll go ahead and call the old man, and I'll talk him into promoting the race in 38. And it'll be a success because no matter what he does, he was like Humpy Wheeler. Everything worked out well. So he didn't have the 25 cents to call, so he called collect. And he couldn't afford the phone call. And Hankinson didn't know who this Bill France guy was, so he refused the phone call. And so Bill was complaining to a guy he knew named Charlie Reese. Charlie was kind of a gangster, actually. He had bars, and he was a bootlegger, and he had a lot of money. But he told Bill, he said, I'll tell you what, if you go ahead and do the legwork, and I'll put the money up, let's see what happens. So they went ahead and they split a $200 profit in 1938. And Bill said, hey, this is a pretty good deal here, I'm making more money promoting than I am driving. So he continued to drive through 1946, and then he gave up driving for promoting full-time. And in 48, he founded NASCAR, and the rest is history. But that 25-cent call is what got him started.
Well, you tell a story about Bill France that when he had the service station, tire reps would give him tires. He'd sell them, but couldn't quite pay the rep because he had other bills.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had a tire on a display out there on the island, and Bill had sold the tire, and he didn't have the money for the salesman when he came by. So he saw the salesman coming, and he went and hid in the ladies' room, and he told Sam Packard, his assistant, he says, "Tell this guy to go away. I'll be back tomorrow." With the money. So he paid him the next day, but that was how tight things were. He did not have the money to pay the commission on that tire. It's amazing. And talk about humble beginnings, It's incredible. Yeah. So we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with some more cool beach stuff.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Racing's original North Turn has been voted by you Best Beach Bar Top 10 year after year after year. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Thank you, everybody. Here with Tony Hines. And this segment's being brought to you by Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, voted one of the top 5 markets in the country by USA Weekend. Visit our Shop Now network and our Shop Now at Daytona Flea and Farmers Market Facebook page with the latest in vendor tours. And in 1940, they had a ladies' race. They had the girlfriends and wives of the drivers or mechanics. Annie France, Bill France Sr.'s wife, was in it. And Red Vogt's wife was in it. And Smokey Purser, who was another driver. And I thought that was kind of forward thinking of Bill France to have a ladies' race. And to hear or to read the article was really pretty funny. They were out there risking their pretty little necks and all this kind of stuff, you know. Some really not very complimentary stuff there. Norman Deach, hey. How are you, buddy?
Fine. I'd like to ask you if you're aware of Lawson Diggett.
Oh, boy.
He has that museum on Beach Street.
Yep.
In the old Florida Bank and Trust building.
Yep.
Carved them.
Yes.
Yeah. He also carved the boardwalk.
That's right.
And you can go in that museum and see all that. It's really something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lawson Diggett, what an incredible man. He was born on the beach and was a single man all his life. That's why he had so much time to do all that stuff. And but yeah, he would not only carve the cars, all hand carved, but he would carve the accident scene too, like when the Black Hawk wrecked. He did the entire almost like a diorama of that wreck. And he was incredible. And then that boardwalk was actually shown at the New York World's Fair. If you go to the Beach Street Museum down there, down by Stavros, it is phenomenal. There are thousands and thousands of pieces on that boardwalk that Lawson did. You've been there, right, Tony?
Yep.
Isn't that incredible?
Halifax Historical Society.
That's right. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, you knew Lawson, didn't you?
Yes, I did. He lived in Tomoka Estates at the time.
Yeah, up where Hawaiian Tropic is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite a fellow, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loved history.
Oh, boy. He kept scrapbooks on everything, and all his scrapbooks are down at the Halifax Historical Society, and they're, boy, what a blessing those are. You know, he was quite a guy. He lived for that. Yeah.
Well, we don't have the Museum of Speed anymore, but that's pretty close to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most of that Museum of Speed stuff went up to Talladega when they first built the museum in Talladega. The Bluebird was up there for a while, and the Fireball Roberts Pontiac and all that. And the Pontiac's still there, but of course the Bluebird came back home. Yeah. But Lawson, he was a millwright, I think, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. He worked for several of the woodworking shops here in town.
But it's well worth your time to go see that display.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I highly advise everybody to go check it out. Very good. Thank you, Norman.
Thanks, Norm.
Appreciate that. Yep.
The other thing, occasionally that museum screens hopping rattlesnakes.
That's right. Yeah, we got to get them to do that again.
Organize something? Yeah.
Yeah. Hopping rattlesnakes. that came about from one of the people that we interviewed. He said that he talked about the rattlesnake signs that Bill France put up to keep people from climbing through the palmettos and watching the race for nothing. You know, the hopping rattlesnakes. And that was neat. We interviewed probably, maybe 15, 18 people who raced on the beach or who were involved in the beach. And it turned out really good. We did it in conjunction with the Daytona State College. And I'm extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
It turned out real good. So, yeah, I'll have to get with them. Maybe I'll have to join down there and see if we can get something like that going. It'd be very nice.
Bring them in some people.
Yeah, exactly. Heck yeah, man. That'd be cool. Yeah, so Red Byron was the king of the beach before the war. And then the war broke out, and they didn't run there from late 41 to 45. And then they came back in 46. And Bill France had retired by then from driving and got into promoting. And he really knew what to do. And he realized that if everybody would work together, if you had a uniform set of rules, and if you had a point fund and a point system and all that, that it would work out well for everybody. So he brought the best mechanics and crew chiefs and car drivers and officials, and all these people came together at the Streamline Hotel in 1947, and they hammered out after 4 days what became known as NASCAR. And it's funny, what happened was, where am I? Where am I at, Tony?
Streamline Hotel.
Streamline Hotel.
NASCAR.
Yeah, and you can still go to Streamline Hotel today. Go upstairs where they met in the bar up there, and they have it decorated. It's really pretty neat. It's a very small space. I was surprised to see how small it was, and it just worked out well. February of '48 was the first race for NASCAR, and
in Charlotte, wasn't it?
Well, that was for Cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cup came about in June of '49, and they did that at Charlotte with Jim Roper. He was the winner of that race, and Glenn Dunaway had won the race, but they found that he had helper springs under his car because he'd been running moonshine. So can you imagine that? Can you imagine people cheating in racing? That's hard to believe, isn't it? So anyway, they disqualified Dunaway, and they gave the race to Jim Roper, and that was the only race he ever won. He only ran one more race, and he moved back out to Kansas and was running open wheel cars. But the beach racing was just crazy. They started the term Speed Weeks in 1950 because they had the modified race, and they had a sportsman race, and they had the time trials. So it was Speed Weeks, and they've been calling it that ever since. And then in 1951, Marshall Teague won with the Hudson, and Hudson Motor Company became the first manufacturer to get involved with racing. Then he came back and won again in '52. And Marshall also brought the Pure Motor Company, or oil company, into racing, and they were the official gas of NASCAR for 40 or 50 years, I guess. And Marshall did a whole lot to progress the racing. I'd love to see him get in the Hall of Fame one of these days.
I did run across a while back a term, the Daytona Speed Carnival, and it was this whole period. Beach racing, beach time trials, road racing at New Smyrna Beach Airport.
Right.
Some of the same cars.
Oh, yeah, because they would run sports cars down the measured mile, too. Sure. Yeah, the Speed Carnival. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't
Some Indy drivers. I mean, this was not just bootleggers.
Yeah.
IndyCar drivers showing up.
Yeah, you had some sophisticated guys. Jim Kimberly from Kimberly Clark, the tissue company. He brought his car. Jack Rutherford, who was a millionaire sportsman from Palm Beach, he would bring a car. And a very wide range of people. Yeah. Then our old friend Russ Truelove, you remember Russ? Well, he was great. He bought a new Mercury in 1956, and he stripped it out, put the roll bars in it and everything, and then he drove it to Daytona from Connecticut. And when he got here, the Mercury team converted his engine over to high performance, and he qualified 5th out of about 70 cars. And he was running really, really good. So about halfway through the race, he hooked some soft sand and flipped and tore the car up pretty bad. So he had no way to get the car back. That was his transportation. So there was a guy here in town that had a repo service. And so they went ahead and took one of the repo cars off of the trailer and put the wreck on the trailer. And old Mr. Truelove drove the repo back to Connecticut. And but that's how it was with a lot of the guys. They would actually drive their car to the race. It's crazy.
Well, and then the manufacturers started getting more involved in it.
Right.
Late 50s. Well, yeah, Hudson, but big time. Bill Mitchell brought a SR, I think it was an SR2 Corvette.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was quite a car.
152.
Yeah.
Then they had the Battle Birds, the Thunderbirds.
Those are awesome.
159.
Yeah.
And then they went to New Smyrna Beach with them and road raced.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Tony and me.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Daytona Flea and Farmers Market is still the one for great savings and the best variety. Whether you need flowers and trees for your home or you're looking for great prices on Daytona Beach souvenirs, the market is the place to go. The market features 1,000 booths, 2 air-conditioned malls, a restaurant, and 9 snack shacks. Hops Grill features gourmet burgers and garden blend salads. Treat yourself to a great variety of brat and hot dog creations at the Dog House, or enjoy a refreshing drink at the Seltzer Oasis. The market is open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and is 90% undercover, so you can shop rain or shine. There's never a charge for parking or admission. Enjoy our monthly classic car cruise-in on the first Saturday of every month, and garage sale weekend, the third weekend of every month. See all we have to offer at DaytonaFleaMarket.com or like us on Facebook. Discover Daytona's most unique shopping experience, the Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, just a mile west of the Speedway. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Oh, wow. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I'm so undeserving. You know?
I am.
Yes, you are.
There.
You certainly are. Yeah. I was going to mention that. Yeah. How about a round of applause for Tony? Hey, there we go. It seems funny not to have you out there asking a question. Oh well. So, got any more questions?
Well, I ran across another thing I hadn't heard of on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
This was a 5-man challenge race. Lee Petty in an Oldsmobile.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, they got to Plymouth, but in an Oldsmobile won $500.
Wow.
I had not heard of, the challenge races or match races, I guess.
Yeah, what they had was they had a car. They had 5 drivers. I think I forget what kind of car it was. It might have been an Olds, and it was the Autolite Challenge.
Oh.
And what they would do was that, like, say I get to drive the car, but my mechanic gets to do whatever he wants to the engine, within reason. And then it was a kind of a team effort between the driver and the crew chief. And then whoever set the fastest time through the measured mile won that $500.
Oh.
How about that?
That'd be neat to see again in NASCAR.
It would. Yeah, the sky was the limit there. I mean, you couldn't take the heads off or anything like that, but you could fine-tune it. And so it was a matter of who was the best driver and who was the best crew chief. Interesting, huh?
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
They ought to try that for the Busch Clash.
Yeah, really. Then we had Key Kiefer in the Chryslers, Chrysler New Yorkers, or the Chrysler 300s. And Key Kiefer was a strange cat. He was very staunch German, and not much of a sense of humor. and but he was brilliant. And he had Mercury outboard motors, and he figured that NASCAR was a good way to promote his motors. So he had a fleet of these Chryslers that he ran, and they totally dominated NASCAR in '55 and '56. And then just like that, he was gone. He came in, swept around there, won everything, and then left.
White Chryslers, red lettering.
Yep. Yep.
Precision Mercury motors, I think, on the side.
Yeah.
He was the first guy with a car hauler.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And
all the team had uniforms.
That's right. He carried a weatherman with him to check the barometer, and he used to ice down the gas because it would make smaller volume. You could put more gas in the gas tank if you kept it iced down. He was brilliant, and he really brought NASCAR into where we are today with the haulers and the teams and all that sort of thing. And nobody was doing anything like that before. They were still driving the car to the racetrack. But you get these certain people throughout history that make a tremendous change in the sport, and he was definitely one of them. That's for sure. And then we had Holman and Moody come along around '58, and one of my favorite stories was the first convertible race in '56. There was a guy named Pete Peterson, and he was an air conditioning salesman from Chicago, car air conditioning, and he ran a '56 Chevy with the windows up and the roof up and the air conditioning running. And he did pretty good. He finished like 10th out of 20-some-odd cars, and he felt that by the end of the year, most race cars would have an air conditioner in it. And to this day, that's the only race car that ever had an air conditioner in it. But he tried. Interesting.
Well, that's kind of another amazing thing, this convertible races.
Yeah.
On the beach and later at the speedways.
Oh, yeah.
That just, I mean, the roll bar was probably the same, but at least you had something that would keep you in the car.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about that. Marvin Patch talked about the first Daytona 500. It was a sweepstakes race, meaning that half of the field was convertibles and half the field was hardtops. And Marvin had a hardtop, and Bill France comes down through the pits and said, "Anybody wants to cut the roof off, I'll give him $500." And Marvin said, "Man, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me." So he got the torch out and chopped off the roof, and he went down to an upholstery shop and got a tonneau cover for the passenger seat area and the back seat area. And he said, "Man, that's the worst mistake I ever made." He said, "I earned every penny of that $500. He said, "I was about 10 miles an hour slower than everybody else." And he said, then halfway through the race, the darn tonneau cover came loose and it's smacking me in the head, and I'm trying to drive and trying to hold that thing down. And he said, I wore myself out. But he said that $500 sure looked pretty good at the time. And in fact, the first time Richard Petty ran the number 43 was here at Daytona in the 1959 Daytona 500, and it was a Oldsmobile convertible.
Yep.
And that car is sitting up in Alex Beam's museum up in Mooresville in North Carolina. It's not much left of it. It was buried for years, but they dug it out and they have it up there. And it's fascinating to think about what became of that one car, what it launched. It's pretty wild.
Well, and you wonder about some of these drivers, if they'd realized how long NASCAR was going to be around, the history, if they'd have just put those cars in a barn,
oh my gosh,
they'd have funded their retirement.
Oh yeah, boy, they're bringing the big money, Yeah, those Dodge Daytonas and Plymouth Superbirds, I mean, they're bringing well over $1 million now. Yeah, and some of these guys are running just by the skin of their teeth. And if they had been able to put those cars away, they'd be sitting pretty. And I remember Herb Thomas's wife, Helen, told me that Herb had already won 2 championships. And in the mid-'50s, he had a tobacco farm and a trucking company that he used for hauling logs. And she said that they never gave that up because they didn't know how long racing was going to last, and they weren't making that much money anyway. So I thought, man, isn't that something? If they had only been able to look ahead, That's pretty wild. But yeah, you talk about those experimental cars. Harley Earl was good for bringing several cars every year. The car that sits on the trophy of the Daytona 500 is the Firebird 1. And that was an extremely popular car. Maury Rose ran it down the beach, ran about 160 miles an hour with it. Wow. Yeah, but the all-time winner as far as the high speed was our old friend Vicki Wood. Yeah, she was the fastest through the measured mile.
In a stock car.
Yeah, in a stock car.
Yeah.
Yep, fastest. Good old Vicky. She was great. She beat all the boys. And what an amazing person she was. Lived to be over 100 years old. And we sure miss her. She's part of the troop that's no longer with us, you know. It's unfortunate. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1 and 2 bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Thank you, everybody. Much obliged. And we thank you all for being here today and for supporting us. And we're trying something new today. And but it'll be good next week. We'll have us a first class guest next week. And then we have, in 2 weeks, we have a father and son that, it'll be great. The father's been racing for years, and the son is 16 now. He's just now getting into late models, but he started out with go-karts and all that. So that's another great story. And those are the kind of things we like to talk about.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
There's some names with beach racing. We'll see if Bill Strop.
Oh, yeah.
Was the Mercury, I guess, at that time.
Yeah, he was Mr. Mercury, and somebody I know has a strop machine.
Ray Nichols.
Yeah, he was Mr. Pontiac.
Smokey Unick.
Oh, yeah.
I think whoever was paying.
Yeah, whoever was paying.
Yeah.
That's who he was,
He
Mr.
worked on a lot of
Mr. Who's Got the Greenbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete DePalma.
DePaulo.
DePaulo.
Yeah. In fact, this is the 100th anniversary of him winning Indianapolis.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the first man to average 100 miles an hour at Indy. And he was the nephew of Ralph DePalma. And he ran riding mechanic for Ralph DePalma in his early days, and then became his driver unto himself. And he was the head of the Ford Racing Division in the first couple of years before Holman and Moody came along. Yeah, and then Nichols, he was Mr. Pontiac. And then he became Mr. Chrysler. Other than the Petties, Nichols took care of everything Chrysler. And then with Strop, he was on the West Coast, and he was everything Mercury, where Holman and Moody was everything Ford on the East Coast.
There was an interesting name, Wally Parks.
Oh,
who
my
most
gosh.
people know from NHRA and drag racing.
Right.
He was the editor of Hot Rod Magazine.
Yes, he was.
And they'd set up cars, do magazine articles, and run them on the beach.
Oh, yeah. He had a 57 Plymouth that was just a bear. Yeah, Wally Parks, great guy. Another guy who lived to be 100 years old. Yeah, he was Mr. Drag Racing. But, NASCAR started a drag racing division years later, but it didn't really catch on. Yeah, they ran it for a few years, and then they realized they really couldn't compete with NHRA.
They used to do that on the backstretch at Daytona, didn't they?
Yeah, backstretch and pit road.
Wow.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah, Alden Host talks about winning one of the races, and they were supposed to be getting a new pickup truck, and he claims he never got the truck. Never got the truck. He won the race. He beat Don Garlitz, and never got the truck.
Oh, in his rail. Yeah.
Yeah, he still complains about that today. He'll never get over it. Oh, man, what a character. But, the beach really has been a testing ground for the automotive industry. And they claim that if the Stanley Steamer hadn't wrecked in 2000 or in 1907, we might be driving steam cars today because the wreck scared the Stanleys so much that they went ahead and they pulled out of racing. The boiler of that engine was wrapped with a mile of piano wire to keep it from exploding. It was under 1,000 pounds pressure, and it's in the Smithsonian now. That boiler, pretty neat. And this was really the cutting edge of automotive. Anything that was new or exciting coming out would be on the beach first. Like when General Motors came out with the finned aluminum brake drums. That was to help cool the brakes. Cool. Yeah, because the guys could run on the beach or run in the water to cool the brakes, but they would prefer not to. And then the paper air cleaner, Kiefer came up with that to keep the sand out of his engines. So that's another thing that we use every day that was developed right here. How about that? Ain't that amazing? Aren't we lucky to be living here? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, darn right. It's really something.
I guess we've been talking about beach racing, and in case folks don't know, just south of here in Winter Haven Park, close over to the ocean, there's 2 or 3 houses there. Their driveway is raced on pavement.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
There's a little brass marker down there, a checkered flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
You were there to dedicate that.
Yeah.
You've done all the big
all
stuff.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, Dale Jr. and I did a TV show down there.
Yeah.
And shoot, I'll do anything for a free lunch. Doesn't matter. But yeah, that's pretty neat to have an actual section of the original racetrack right down there, right just maybe a 1/10 of a mile down the road here. You could walk it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when we first got here, it was amazing. The A1A was very narrow and very undulous. It was, I couldn't imagine those guys running 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour, and having people stand on either side of the road.
Yeah.
And no crowd control or anything. It was phenomenal that they didn't kill 150 people. They actually killed more motorcyclists than they did. You know what else they did too? On the south end, they had an observation tower that was set on telephone poles. And for the motorcycle races, they would wrap the poles with mattresses in case the motorcyclists went off the bank and they wouldn't get hurt as bad. They'd still get hurt pretty good, but not as bad. So that's something. They were crazy, but like I say, these guys were the astronauts of their day.
Yep.
Not knowing what they were going to find when they got there. It was unbelievable. What you got?
I'm still looking for what I got.
Oh, you come up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, pieces of that Stanley Steamer rocket are in the NASCAR Hall of Fame up in Charlotte. We have the steering tiller. He didn't have a wheel. He had a tiller that he steered with. And we have some hubs and a couple of the hubcaps and a couple of valves from the engine and all that sort of thing. So it's pretty neat to see that. Oh, yeah, that'd be good. Okay, Lee Smith, she was quite a driver, quite a lady, tough lady for sure. But she took her husband's brand new Ford down here, and she wrecked it, unfortunately. So she went ahead and took a bus home, and she got home, and her husband said, "Where you been?" She said, "Oh, that darn car is a piece of junk, and it pooped out. I had to take the bus home." He said, "Oh, really? Is that right?" It took her like 2 days to get home. So right there in the headlines of the newspaper, their little hometown was Louise Smith wrecks Daytona Beach. So she had a hard time explaining that one. What a character she was. Well, there's a few folks we got to say hello to, and thank you for helping us put this on today. We've got Danny over there on the board, and Mike with the applause sign, and Norman, we thank you for your question. And Mr. Ellis back there, Ryan Ellis's father. Ryan is driving the Xfinity series. Check him out tomorrow at Kansas. And we're just having a grand old time here. We thank you so much for being here. And we might have to do this again sometime. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll make some notes.
Come up with some more stories.
Yeah. Oh, and they're all true.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Well, yeah. Within reason.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but you got to give Bill France a lot of credit. He's the one who came up with this whole thing, and he was the one who was willing to take a chance on everything, and all because of that quarter that wasn't accepted in 1938. It's hard to believe. You never know where your fortune's going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we thank you all, folks, and we have a special guest next week. I can't tell you about it now, but it'll be really something special. And we thank you for sitting in with us today. Take care.
The Legends of Racing radio show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time for the Legends